A lot of times we have connections for the necessary parties to make sure you're taken care of all the way around. Closing day seems like it could be the most simplest part of the process, and it actually may be. Again, you want to make sure you are taken care of. And that's why having a realtor is so important. Hey guys, this is Rachelle with Damon, Gettier and Associate Realtors located in Salem, Virginia. Today's video is going to be about closing day. I understand that it could be some questions out there. Closing day seems like it could be the most simplest part of the process, and it actually may be, but we just want to make sure you're well informed on what to expect. Let's get into the video. So what is closing and why is it important? Closing means that we're going to transfer ownership from the current sellers to you. It is the very last step of the process. It is a very important step because, again, we want to make sure that when you're finally in that house, it actually belongs to you. Just some key tips about closing day. It could be a bit of a process. It could take about an hour to an hour and a half. You want to be very clear on where your closing is going to be at. Is it going to be at your realtor's office? Is it going to be at the title company? You want to make sure that you show up on time. I typically say show up just a little bit early if you can, just to make sure that you're prepared for everything. Make sure you have the necessary documents. Your realtor will get you in contact with the title company to make sure you're aware of what those documents are, and then you'll also be transferring funds. So at this point, you want to have an understanding on whether you prefer to do a cashier's check or a wire transfer. If you do choose to do wire transfer, the realtor and the title company will make sure that you have all of the necessary information to have those funds to the title company on time. There will be a lot of signing. Mainly on closing day, you're signing documents. The title company will go over each document to make sure that you understand what you are signing. They're also there to answer any questions, and your realtor will be there every step of the way as well. But officially, you are transferring the house into your name. You're buying a home. Some of the important documents that you are going to review with the title company is going to be the closing disclosure, the deed of trust, and then the loan agreement. The closing disclosure is going to break down your total cost that you're paying today and everything affiliated with your monthly mortgage payment. Typically, buyers' main concern when it comes to closing is what are they paying for. So the title company will go over your closing disclosure, which does break down the figures of today's cost and your ongoing costs when it comes to purchasing a home, and then also your loan agreement. We do want to make sure that you understand not only today, but in the future, what is associated with purchasing a house. On this day, you'll also meet your point of contact with the title company. This is probably somebody you have been talking to for the last couple of weeks, but you actually get face to face with this person. Their role on closing day is, again, to make sure they go over all necessary documents to make sure you understand what you're signing. They will accept any funds that are needed and make sure that they get to the right parties. And then once we're done closing, their responsibility is to make sure that everything is recorded, and they'll handle the recording of the transaction. The recording is just making sure that all necessary parties understand that the house officially does belong to you. So let's talk about the total cost that's associated with closing on your home. Earlier in the process, you put down an earnest money deposit. Some people refer to it as EMD. Some people refer to it as a good faith deposit. But at that point, this amount of money will go to your total cost. Your closing disclosure is also going to break down exactly what you're paying out of pocket for. Everybody refers to closing costs, but we don't know exactly what closing cost is. Closing cost is going to be the cost you're paying for the title company, the cost that you're paying for your mortgage lenders. It's going to be for your homeowner's insurance and your taxes. So there is a lot of costs associated with your closing costs and the fees that are paid on closing day, but it does not include your first mortgage payment. I know when you're renting a house, that last day right before you get the keys, you're paying your first month's rent and your deposit, but on closing day, you're typically paying for all of the hands that helped you get to the closing table. Prior to closing, we're going to do a final walkthrough. I myself typically like to schedule my final walkthrough either the day before closing or the morning of closing. Again, that is just us taking some time to look at the house one last time. We want to make sure it's exactly what you expect. The sellers are required to leave the home in a certain condition, especially if the home was lived in when we initially offered on it. When they moved out, we want to make sure that the home was not damaged in any way. We do want to make sure that they at least broom swept the house. The last thing we want you to do is go to your house after closing and the house isn't meeting your standards. So that's basically what we're doing on the final walkthrough. In the contract, we typically specify what should be left in the house once the sellers vacate. During final walkthrough, we are going to make sure sure that those items have been left. That typically includes the refrigerator, your stove, a microwave if present, dishwasher if present, and then a lot of times garage keys or any additional keys that we need to access all parts of the home. Once you're satisfied with the home, we'll let the sellers know that the final walkthrough was completed and we're ready to move forward. So the final step on closing day, all documents are signed. The title company or your realtor, if present, will make sure that the keys are handed to you today. Welcome home. For sellers, this is when they vacate the property. The keys will be handed over. And buyers, this is when you're receiving the keys. We're all set. A couple last tips may be considered post-closing. The title company will make sure that the deed is recorded with all necessary parties. We also want to make sure that utilities have been transferred in your name. If you're planning to move in today on closing day, you want to make sure that you have all of the necessary tools to do so. Now you're ready to move into your home. The house is yours, the house is empty, and you now have the keys. If you need any assistance with hiring movers or getting everything aligned to move into your new house, don't hesitate to let your realtor know. A lot of times we have connections for the necessary parties to make sure you're taken care of all the way around. And that's why having a realtor is so important. Again, you want to make sure you are taken care of. So that wraps up our video. Again, my name is Rachelle. I'm with Damon, Gettier and Associate Realtors. If you're in Salem, Roanoke, or the surrounding areas, don't hesitate to reach out. 540-299-2875. I would love to guide you to the closing table. Don't forget to give our video a thumbs up. If you have any additional tips or advice, comment below. And don't forget to subscribe for additional content. See you next time.